there's two sign-ins for you, Ruth.
One is maybe her.
One is maybe the generic, and then the other one is her linked, her actual account.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, because my actual account, I didn't sign in. I just clicked the link. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure there's no
That's what
feedback.
happens.
Just make sure no feedback.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
Like
possible.
cancel it.
I can hear you.
There was a man's face on that other login a moment ago.
Stop.
Hopefully you. No, I'm not. I'm being sincere. There was a gentleman whose face I saw for a moment.
Oh.
She mentioned her husband. I figured that might be the answer.
Oh. Okay.
Yes. No. I would never confuse Ruth for a man. That's not possible.
Because you're a jokester, you know.
I know my reputation. I know my reputation. But sincerely, there was a gentleman who I did see on that second login. So
That's all good.
That's all good.
Okay, we're
Questions. Darren, I keep forgetting.
okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Ken Evans here at the Urban Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to welcome you to our Ducks in a Row series, session 5, how to build relationships. And that's right, if you've been around the Urban Chamber any amount of time, then you know that this is something that we like to encourage our members to do, and even our non-members, because we make webinars like this available to our non-members as well. Today, we're going to cover those things that you need to do to pay attention to the interpersonal dynamics so that you not only get through a situation like the one presented by COVID-19, but just as a general matter of doing business, you have the interpersonal relationships that can help you to either start a business, grow a business, or take it to the next level. And we've got some great experts to help us do this today. Again, a little bit of background. The reason why we're doing Ducks in a Row is because we found that once COVID-19 hit, there were some key things that our businesses were not doing that they should be doing. It was highlighted by COVID-19. So we want to make sure that as you move forward, you have your ducks in a row, and there are certain things that you're doing. And today we're going to talk about making sure that what you're doing is building real relationships. I want to say thank you to our sponsors, Charles Schwab Bank. They've been with us the entire time that we've made this COVID-19 journey, and even before. They're a perfect example of a relationship that we have here at the Urban Chamber of Commerce. Just to give you an idea of today's agenda, we're starting out right now. We always like to get started promptly. Just to give you some Zoom call instructions, once we get into the question and answer or Q&A period, you'll have the ability to either type your question into the chat box, or if you raise your hand, and there's a way to do that within your Zoom application, our moderator, or not our moderator, but our logistics person will be there to help you out and get you connected. We've got a great panel. The moderator is Shondell Newsome, 3 panelists, Darren, Joe, and Ruth, and I'll give Shondell a chance to introduce them in a few minutes. But the way to work is they've got some things that they'll talk about amongst themselves. We'll have a Q&A session, and then about 2:55, we'll begin to wrap things up, and then we'll end promptly at 3 p.m. So again, welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining our Ducks in a Row, or Ducks in a Row series, and we look forward to you benefiting and using this information to grow your small, diverse business. And without further ado, let me turn it over to the master of developing relationships, Mr. Shondell Newsome with Some New Marketing.
Well, thank you very much, Ken Evans. We appreciate you. I do appreciate the Urban Chamber of Commerce because it was actually a relationship that got me to the Urban Chamber. There were many people out there who understood what I did as a business, what I did from a leadership standpoint, and what I continue to do in the community. So I really am excited about this conversation because, as Ken said, most of us go through many challenges. And one thing that I know is that if you go through challenges, you learn who your true friends are, right? You learn if you have a real relationship or you just had something on the surface where, you know, once they just disappear on you. So, you know, if you built a real relationship based on the fact that when you go through COVID, you look around, you'll see the people that you have a real relationship with. Do you have a real relationship with your banker? Do you have a real relationship with your attorneys? Do you have a real relationship with your chamber? Do you have a real relationship with your business partners? Do you have something that you can reach to and get the support that you need when you go through challenges? So I'm going to introduce the panelists. This is a group that I definitely have relationships with. So let me start off with, let's see, is it Darren Mitchell? Darren is with Legal Shield, but I've known Darren even before I know Darren as Legal Shield. Darren is a very, very dedicated person, a very polished person who really always believes in constant improvement and always growing. So I've watched over the last 15 plus years, right, Darren, where Darren has grown and Darren has done many things. And I'm so excited. I'm just really, really excited to have Darren on this panel. And then I'll give Darren a minute to say a few words after I introduce the other panelists. And then Joe Cato. Wow, Joe, I'm not even going to give out how many years we've known each other. That might scare some folks. But Joe, this amazing young woman, we've probably known each other well over 20 years. Our family, in the community, formerly with the North Las Vegas Chamber. Let me tell you where Joe and I really, really got strong as building our relationship. When we realized through the last recession that everything was not really going well for small businesses, Joe and I, even as broke small business owners, went through the recession. We went to Washington, D.C. like 3 to 4 times a year. And we were one of the few representatives from the state of Nevada. And many times Joe was checking those women like, hey, don't you even try to look at Shondell because Arlene is not going to happen. And I'm going to kick your butt if you jump in. Right, Joe? Am I right?
Yes,
Joe
that's
was
true.
on it. But that's a real relationship. She got your back. And then Ruth. Oh, my God, Ruth Furman. I see the slideshow, but listen, guys, Ruth Furman came to a chamber event in all orange one time. And I was like, what? Go ahead, girl. But let me tell you how I love me some Ruth, because just like me, I lost 50 pounds over the last several years. And Ruth has dropped the whole person. She is amazing in her commitment. And I know how challenging the business is and how challenging it is in life, period. But what I know about Ruth is she's a dedicated person. She is really, really high energy. And what I really, really appreciate about her, she always checks in on you and checks in on me and the family and see how we're doing. So everybody on this panel, I have, and is it fair to say I have a real relationship with these folks? I have real relationships with all of these people because not only do I have stories, but I have situations where each one of them have inspired me, whether they know it or not. And I hope that we have been inspiring each other. So I'm going to start off with this question. First of all, each one of you take like 60 seconds to talk about yourself when I ask this question, but also what is building real relationships all about? Let's start with Darren. Tell us what is building real relationships all about, and tell us a little bit about Darren Mitchell.
All right. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Shondell. I appreciate being asked to be on this panel. And yes, you and I do have a real relationship that does go back well over a decade, several business iterations ago from each of us that we have remained in contact. That being said, my name again, Darren Mitchell. The company that I represent is Legal Shield. We as a company do give business owners and individuals access to a network of law firms and consultants to protect and grow your business. That is what I do. And I've been able to build my Legal Shield business by building those relationships, by being able to make sure, and I love that we are using the phrasing relationship that Shondell has coined, because we have relationships with a lot of people. You might even have a relationship with the person at the gas station just by virtue of you seeing them all the time. That is a version or a form of a relationship. But a real relationship is, to put it a different way, not even just business. Who's the person that you can call at 2 a.m. if you got a flat tire? Who's that person that when you stuck on the side of the road, you know, if you pick up the phone, not only are they going to answer, but they're going to say, okay, where are you? I'll be there in 10 minutes or whatever it is. And that to me is just an example of, and not necessarily a business example, but just an example of what a real relationship is. It's someone that knows you, likes you, and trusts you, because we know in business, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this more, people do business, all things being equal, people do business with those that they know, like, and trust. And so that to me is what a real relationship is all about.
And you know what? That's so perfect in the way you put it. That person you can call at 2 a.m. and help you with flat tires. Let me ask people who are on the chat, make sure in the chat you tell us what a real relationship is all about to you. So go in the chat box, tell us about your business, but also tell us what a real relationship is all about to you. All right, Miss Cato, I said I'm not gonna blow you up. But you know what? I know you know what a relationship is.
Yes,
Tell us what a
I
real relationship
do.
is all about.
So relationship for me is the ability to reach out to people, not just in time of needs, but also in times when we're having successes. And it's important that relationship could be a close friend, a family member, as well as clients, because sometimes your clients can become that support system that you need in order for you to continue to grow your business and to grow yourself. So for me, relationship is the person that or persons that I can reach out to at any given time to have discussions with as to how I can be better at whatever I'm trying to do. And also, I've known Shondell Guest for over 20 years. And the interesting story is I met him while he was an executive at Station Casino. At the time, I was the chair of a committee in North Las Vegas, and we were hosting our first city event. And everyone tried to make contact with Station Casinos to sponsor our event. And I went to Stations cold turkey, met Shondell for the first time, and the rest is history. We ended up having Station to support our event over a 5-year period. And the event is still ongoing, and there's still a sponsor. And Shondell started that out for us in 2000, might have been 2002 or something like that. So I've known him all this time, and yes, and Miss Arlene is my friend, and I'm very territorial about that.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
Well, I love it. And that's what I mean
Thank
about a
you.
relationship. You never know where they're going to start and how they're
Right.
going to end up. Brings us to Ruth Furman. Ruth, tell us a little bit about Image Words, but also tell us about you and what does a real relationship mean to you?
Image Words Communications is a public relations and marketing firm. You know, I'm all about philanthropy. I'm all about connecting my clients and the community at large with media to help them shine brighter and share their stories. You know, so honored to be part of this panel. As far as relationships, you know, what I see it as, I like the word real because I like to be very authentic. I like to be real, and I like to surround myself with people that I can be real with. So a real relationship to me is all about, you know, cultivating, curating, and connecting to benefit others and in turn ourselves. You know, I like to say that givers gain. So I always try to be the kind of person that I try to give more than I get. And I try really hard to do that with no expectations. of, getting the equivalent amount in return. I try to be very generous with my connections and my contacts. I've been here in Vegas since 1999. And, I know a lot of people, and I call upon people when I have opportunities. One of my clients is doing a nonprofit thing. I like to layer on other brands, and I rely on my relationships to do that. And I'm grateful to be a new member of the Urban Chamber.
All right, we're so glad to have you. Thank you, Ruth. And so I'm gonna, you talked about something, making connections. I want to talk to Joe about this. We're gonna ask you this question, Joe. What are real connections to make with business owners? Like, I know that you're about collaboration, partnerships. The way that we're actually able to survive a lot of times is that we come in partnership. Like Ruth mentioned, she's in public relations, you're in marketing and public relations. What are real connections that you can make with fellow business owners?
And I'm glad you touched on that, because for me, one of the things I always say is there is strength in numbers and collaboration. If we have the capacity, if we partner with different companies, even if we're in the same business, that gives us the opportunity to be a stronger force when bidding on opportunities. So I always say there's strength in numbers, and we should always work on collaborating. It's not about being a competitor. It's about how can we look at an opportunity and provide service to this opportunity as a collective. So over the years, that's been one of the things, and I've partnered with you, Shondell, on a few opportunities, and I've partnered with a lot of other companies. As of now, I'm partnering with 3 strong companies on opportunities that I'm working on at this time. And so for me, the number one thing for me is partnership, collaboration, and making sure that we can service opportunities in a way, and it's a win-win, and it's not about competing. So for me, collaboration and partnership is huge, and this is something that I will always encourage other small businesses to do, because if you are self-employed, you are a one-woman or a one-man shop, and the opportunity calls for a 10-man thing, it makes sense to partner with another company, and whatever your strengths might be, you focus on that strength to make sure that your deliverables are what the client is looking for. And then from there, you can grow your business outside of one opportunity. We just did this with the census, and I had the opportunity to partner with a large firm on the census. And out of that opportunity, I have grown and I've had more opportunities that I'm working on at this time in partnerships as well. So you just never know where it will lead you.
Absolutely. What about you, Ruth? Why don't you follow up on that? Because I know you've done some collaborations and partnerships. Tell us why that's important, and then how do you get that done?
Well, I like to say, and this is a cliche, but I like to say that there is a lid for every pot. So, sometimes I find that I am able to really deliver a better product to my clients as well as the media when I am connecting with others, whether that be collaborating with another agency that has a skill set that I do not market, or if I am collaborating with someone else in business, someone in a different industry. The other thing that I do quite a bit in my business, especially during the pandemic, is I have hired some out of work individuals who are extremely talented, and that has really benefited me. And it's been a little bit of a risk, but it's really benefited me. So I think that real relationships, again, to echo what I said earlier, is just about connecting with really great people and kind of taking a chance on them.
Yeah, good. Very good. Hey, Darren, I know you know about this. Real connections, REAL connections. You talk about what you can provide, how you can do this. but you've made some real connections, whether it was through Toastmasters or the membership committee. How did you make those real connections?
The way that I made those real connections, and I'm going to piggyback on Ruth from the standpoint of cliches. And one that is popping into my mind right now to answer your question, Shondell, is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I know that's something that we hear. It is cliche, but the thing about cliches is that they're actually true, especially when they are applied properly. So the way that I was able to build those relationships is simply by caring as much, if not more, about the relationships I'm looking to build than myself. One of the things that I did when joining specifically the chamber was not come in and audibly or actively say, I'm the Legal Shield guy. No, I'm the guy that wants to come in and learn about these other businesses, build the network, build my network, and then I'm able to become a resource. Now that I'm out in the business community at large or inside the chamber, if I'm meeting with someone or speaking with someone and they say, hey, I'm looking for this, now I'm able to say, oh, I know this person that you need to speak with. So new business or established business, I'm looking to market myself. Well, you need to go to Newsom Marketing. So because I have those connections and those relationships, I'm able to grow my network that much more rather than just going on and saying, well, I'm this guy. No, I'm now a resource for all the people that I'm networking with. And I'm not saying that exclusively to me, but I'm saying that that is a way to build those real relationships.
I love it. I love it. We're gonna continue. Anybody want to add something? I thought I heard something, but we're gonna continue on, and I'm gonna ask another question. Then I'm gonna try to see Delisa, if we got some folks in the chat that we wanna talk about and hear from. I know I saw a lot of people in that chat and the participants. Well, I know a few of them, I have real relationships with them as well. So we can please chime in through the chat process or go through the chat box and tell us what you're thinking. Let's start with Ruth this time. All right, Ruth, what are some ways to get connected? Like what are the many ways you use to get connected to build these real relationships? What do you use? I mean, some people get confused with chambers, BNI, LaTip, all of that. What are some ways that you know to be the best way to build real relationships?
That is a challenging question for me because to be real, time management is definitely a challenge of mine. Social media is fantastic. I am a big LinkedIn girl. I have actually gotten quite a few clients through LinkedIn, and I've actually made some great connections through LinkedIn. I am a member of the Urban Chamber. I am active. I feel that it's really important to be active in every organization that you're a member of and to engage. For example, let's say you're in the hospitality industry, perhaps the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Association. I am a member of the National Association of Women Business Owners. And, I think that what's really important is to really think about your objectives. Mm-hmm. And for example, when I joined Urban Chamber as well as the National Association of Women Business Owners, it wasn't, to echo what Darren said, it wasn't all about getting business. The way that I like to look at it is, you align yourself with people, with good people. And if they know, like, and trust you, they are going to naturally not only refer business to you, but support you and kind of be your cheerleader. So I think it's really important to really be kind of strategic, do it by industry, but also just do it by connecting with great people. And also, I feel the same way about philanthropy and volunteer work.
Great. Darren, same question to you.
Wow. A couple of things come to mind. Obviously, as you mentioned, there's many organizations that you can join. As Ruth said, you want to be targeted in your joining of associations to ensure that you're meeting the kind of people that you need for your business. But then a specific strategy that I like to employ to build those relationships, when I meet someone, and there are a lot of digital ways to do this, but I prefer the old school handwritten thank you note. That's a strategy that I like to employ just because there's only maybe 3 other people that I know that use it. So if I send you a handwritten, hey, it was great to meet you, let's get together sometime and chat, again, to repeat myself and what Ruth echoed, not to sell you anything, just to build that relationship. You know, I just want to get to know you. Now I've sent you something that probably no one else that you've met in the last 6 months has sent you. And then the next part of that very same strategy is to connect and say, hey, let's get together for coffee. I tell the joke that I've got hundreds of offices all around Las Vegas, and they're all cleverly disguised as Starbucks. Now, full disclosure, with the COVID situation, none of my offices are open for sit-down situations right now. But that's why we have these virtual platforms. My point is this. Let's get together. Let's spend 1 hour, 30 minutes you share with me about your business, 30 minutes I'll share with you about mine. We have a conversation, and at the end of that hour, the worst case scenario is now we can refer business to one another correctly. Now I know exactly what you do, you know exactly what I do. So now that we're out in the networking community, be it personally or virtually, now we each know what the other person does and can refer business and continue to build that relationship by actually giving those referrals. And I'll stop right there because there's more, but
Oh, yeah.
I want to make sure we stay
Before
on
I get
top.
to Joe, because Joe, I'm gonna switch it up on you because I know
Okay.
I know you can answer this. So, but real quick, I'm gonna go with Kelsey West. He says, I find I make more connections when I'm intentional about making the first move to meet and greet the loudest and the quietest person in the room, which I think is great.
Strategy.
I mean, you got to be very intentional on building relationships. Now, Joe, we have some very, very we have some relationships across the country. We have some relationships with local elected officials. Now, we got to be quite honest. Our elected officials are probably the easiest across the country to have access to, whether it's the county, the city, state reps, or federal delegates. How does that work, Joe? Tell us how you built relationships with a few of those folks.
The first thing that I do with our elected officials, regardless of which side of the aisle they are, my job as a constituent is to support whatever they're doing and find out how I can make a contribution to make a difference. Not contribution in terms of cash, but my job is to find out, to learn their job and responsibilities and how what they're doing is aligned to my values and my quality of life. And as soon as I have a better understanding of what our elected officials are doing, then I find myself supporting whatever initiatives they have. I'll go to a meeting and I'll sit at that meeting. I'll speak at public comment. There's an agenda item that I know one of my elected officials would like for me as a constituent and small business owner to support. So I plan my time wisely. And I show up at these meetings. Now that we're doing virtual, it's even easier because we can hop on that phone, go into public comments, make our comments, support an initiative. And if it's something that we disagree with, we can also put that on the record. So for me, building relationships with our elected official is for me to align with what they're doing and to see how it impacts my quality of life, my contribution to the community, my business, and as well as my family. So those are some of the things that I do. I always try to go out and support. And the good thing is with our elected officials here, we have access. You can send an email, you can text, you can call, or you can go to their homes and they'll respond to you. A lot of other parts of the country, they don't have that type of interaction the way we do here in Southern Nevada and well, all of Nevada. And that's what I value the most. But for me personally, to answer your question with real relationships, it's for me to support our elected officials and to see what's in alignment with what I'm trying to accomplish and how I can support what they're doing.
Awesome, Joe. Thank you so much. I want to take some comments from the chat room. Monica said, thanks for the Ducks in a Row seminars. They've been very helpful. Dana says, I have a real relationship with Ruth Furman. A lot of people do. Not only is she an amazing PR person, I would agree. She's a very good friend. Glad to here to support her. And all of you, thank you for bringing us this fabulous content. Shondell, Joe, Ken, and Darren, thank you. Thank you, Dana. And you know, this is what we want to do. We really want to give you guys an opportunity to understand that we are all in this together. That's another thing everybody keeps saying, but we are truly here at the Urban Chamber. We're all in this together. We have these conversations all of the time, because if we don't come together as small business owners, no one else will for us, right? So we have to do this. The other thing I want to talk about is, Ken always says this, build relationships before you need them. And this is so important, because I think that's where the authenticity comes in. Nobody wants to have a person coming at them all the time with their hands out. I remember there was a great comedian, his name was Robin Harris. Robin Harris said, don't show up to me with your hands looking like cups, always begging for something, right? What you have to do is, when you go to these events, even when it's virtual, or you go to the LVCVA or city council meetings, or wherever you go, remember, like Darren said, people want to know that you care. So what Joe was talking about is, don't go to elected officials always yelling and screaming at them. And we've seen people do that. We've seen people go to meetings just to yell and scream at elected officials, and it never works. In fact, they never get anywhere. Where we have had a success rate that is phenomenal. And I'm just going to give you a couple of things, because I want you to understand clearly how these relationships work. We've had success with the stadium because of relationships. We've had success with the convention center, with the census, with different projects, because we have relationships with people. We have a saying at Some New called CARE, which is creating a relationship of excellence. If you're focused on the relationship, it can always lead to revenues. But revenues don't always lead to relationships, right? That's almost biblical. I think I'm gonna add that to a verse in the Bible somewhere on my back page. But, and the other thing I say is, focus on the with them for other people. What's in it for me? Because they care about what's in it for them. Throw them off their game. Nobody wants you to have you show up and just give out cards. That is so tacky to me. Just, here's my card, nice to meet you. Don't do that. Get to learn what people like, what they dislike, get to understand. I don't like the card exchange thing, because that is so impersonal. It is not very personal to me. So let me ask you guys a question, because I know we're catching up on some times. I know Delisa's keeping me on my time. So I want to ask you a question. Because I have many mentors, and I have some people who are coaches. There's a difference between a mentor and a coach. What is the importance of having a mentor or a coach, or both? Darren, what do you think?
The importance of having a mentor or a coach it's invaluable. One of the way that I met one of my main mentors, I was at a networking function, and this type of function I was unfamiliar with. And here I'm trying to meet people and do what I thought was the right thing to do. And this is going back a lot of years. And the person that actually grew to be my mentor very kindly and politely, and at the time he was prospecting me, but because he actually cared, he grew into being my mentor, and he showed that he cared by saying to me, hey, this is this kind of event. You're not going to make those kind of contacts here. This is what this is here for. Now, the reason that was important is because right off top, I was able to learn from him and learn what I didn't know and learn what I needed to do and learn where I needed to improve. And so the importance of having a mentor and a coach, because as you said, Chanel, they are different, is to be able to have a resource to get information that you just don't know. I like to think I know everything. At least I did when I was younger, but the older I get, the more I know what I don't know. To the statement of mentorship, your mentors can be long distance. They don't have to even be people that you know or that know you. So one of my long distance mentors, even though I had a chance to meet him, wrote this book. It's called Endless Referrals. The author's name is Bob Berg. This is one of several books, because Shondell wrote a book. I know he's going to talk about his own book, so I don't have to. But this is a book that I recommend. See, I knew he was going to pull it up. This is a book that I recommend, and Bob Berg is one of my mentors in building relationships. Again, the name of the book is Endless Referrals, Bob Berg, B-U-R-G, And from there, I learned a lot of things on how to build those long lasting relationships. And that is why it's important to have a mentor so that you can learn stuff and do stuff, to put it in the vernacular.
Great.
Yeah.
Same question to you, Joe.
Yes, for me, I'm a student of life, and so I am continuously being coached. And whether it's professionally or even with my close friends within my circle, because I find that as a small business owner, we're in an ever-changing world, and I need that additional coaching in order for me to pivot if I have to. Now we're going through a pandemic and you have to pivot to do something else. You know, you need that coach. And so I'm continuously a student when it comes to coaching. As for mentorship, I have had a mentor since I moved to the city over 30 years ago. That person continues to mentor me up to this day. And the thing that I'm always asked, okay, Joe, you're going to do this. What's the outcome? What do you see at the end of the line? What's your vision? And so having that person as a mentor to help you navigate the hurdles of how to be successful at the end and not losing your peace of mind is something that we all should have. Find a mentor who can help you, especially if you're a small business owner. It could be your pastor. It could be another business owner. It could be a family member. And also consistently invest in yourself and go through coaching as a small business owners, because they're two different things. The coach will tell you how to be purposeful. The mentor will tell you this is how it's done. So I always say have both. It could be family member, it could be professional, but I always say to small business owners, invest in yourself. Get you a coach to help you to understand what is it you're trying to, what's your end goal when it comes to small business. Build those real relationships going forward is in the environment, especially now in the middle of a pandemic. Shondell, you know this. We went through this in 2008, and I didn't have a coach. I had a mentor, and my mentor was going through the same challenges that I was going through when it comes to business and the market crashing and all that. But we have to find a way to pivot and balance ourselves with what we're doing. So be purposeful. Find you a mentor. The church is through mentorship training programs. You could just find whomever who's going to help you to be the success that you want to be, and invest in yourself through coaching.
Great advice. Thank you, Joe. Ruth, tell us, what about a coach or mentor?
Okay, well, I think that everyone shared some really good stuff, so I'm just going to share kind of a funny story. Several years ago, I have a friend, she's a journalist, and she's a blogger, and we were having a conversation, and she said that a lot of people complain to their spouses and their family members, and she calls it an emotional massage.
I like that.
I loved that. And, you know, I used to kind of whine and complain and be a little bit of a victim earlier in my business. And then I realized, you know, it is just not attractive. So I really, to Joe's point, I invested in myself. I did a number of coaching programs. I continue to do that. I have a pretty broad variety and an array of mentors. And I also mentor myself to some people in my industry, including a young woman this morning who wanted to go into PR, and also mentor, younger kids and college students. And I just think that it's really important to seek out, that help and advice. And Jessie Farrell, who is one of our members of the Urban Chamber. I remember years ago, Jessie and Lisa taught me about deserve level and the power of asking. So I think that, we all, especially now, need to be very, very cautious. Everyone is busy, and, we have to be careful about our asks, but we can ask in a collaborative way.
Mhm.
and we should.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know
I
what?
also want to add one tiny little thing,
Mhm.
if that's okay,
Go
just
ahead.
to thank everyone. One of the reasons that I joined the Urban Chamber is I think when we started the virtual happy hours,
Nice.
Darren was in charge. I was going through kind of a dark time. We lost a very close friend of ours to cancer, and I was really sad, and I really wanted to connect in a meaningful way. So I'm super grateful to all of you for kind of being coaches in your own right.
Oh, awesome. You know what? And I always say this. This is one thing about us as small business owners, because I try to, many times on social media, I try to make sure that people understand us. We're very selfless people. We're not the tycoons that people display from Wall Street. We're actually very, very personable. And one of the things that I think is important for people to understand about us is we go through those dark periods, those tough times, the relationship challenges, your kids and different things. And sometimes it's our network, our relationships that bring us out of those dark times. Thank you for that, Ruth. That was amazing. And Kelsey West says, it's a pleasure to meet you, Ruth, for the first time via this Zoom. And he said, listen, he's glad you're part of the family. And he said, everybody else on the call, you're like his favorite cousin. So he want to see you at Sunday dinner. Love it. I love it. So we're gonna do some question and answer now. And Delisa, I know you're back. So how do we do this question and answer? I'm open to whichever way you want to do it. We can do it through the chat box. We can do it any other way. But I do want to tell this audience, understand that when we talk about relationships, because my daughter, I've been mentoring her the last 4 to 5 years as the CEO of my company and of our company, our family-owned business. And she said, Dad, I had no idea until she saw how long our clients have been with us. She saw that people were with us for a decade. And then when she saw others that didn't have the same type of success, they had more transactional things going on, like, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm done, or I'm gonna do this and I'm done. She said, wow, I get it. I totally understand what you're talking about. So I'm hoping that all of you walk away from this webinar understanding that a relationship in both of us, all of us that are in marketing, PR, and sales, you cannot ever put a price or a value on building a real relationship. That is priceless in so many ways. I don't see any questions yet, Delisa. So I'm gonna keep chatting with the panelists. What do you got? Listen, what makes that relationship so powerful, and how long does that take? Because a lot of people feel like that needs to happen overnight. How long does that take? Let's start with you this time, Darren.
Well, how long does it take? It takes as long as it takes. The truth be told, I mean, I know that's another cliche. I know, but it's real. Because it's a matter of each person is different. Each person thinks differently. Each person, the person you might be looking to build that real relationship with may not be looking to build a real relationship with you. It might be looking for something more transactional. Let me pause for a second because I've been meaning to say this the last 2 times the mic was handed to me. I got to pause and say a thank you to Kelsey West. And my thank you is because of this. As we were building our relationship, one of the things that he did, he said, look, I know you like to network. I've got a group. It's not even he was the host of. It wasn't even his table, but he said, come eat at the table with me, and invited me into the room, said, hey, you go do what you do. Here's where you come in. Stop thanking me so much, young man. Get out there and get to work. But I wanted to thank him for that publicly because that helped to grow our relationship because he was willing to give without looking for anything in return and vice versa. And so I said all that to say this, when both people are willing to give and to care, that expedites the time it takes to build that real relationship because both people are actually in it for the right reasons.
Yeah, you know, and I'm gonna go to Joe and then Ruth, because I know in our business of marketing, PR, making connections, the secret to our industry is having relationships, whether it's with journalists, whether it's with elected officials, whether it's with influential people, whether it's with small business owners. why is this, what timetable do you put on this? How do you get this done?
For me, relationship, I understand Darren's point, but relationship takes time.
Mhm.
I know in order for you, because trust is that variable. If someone trusts you, then you're at a better place. But I find that you have to make the connection, build that trust on both sides, loyalty, and you have to give. If you don't give, because you have to give whatever it might be, for me, it's philanthropy. I have to make sure, and that doesn't mean writing a check. That means supporting an organization in what they're doing, the community. And so you find yourself in these spaces to build those real relationships, and over time it grows. I know my banker is on the chat. I see her. Hey, Irma. And in a short space of time, I was able to build a strong relationship with her. And we need bankers, especially with loans and PPP and all that. We need clients. And so for me, sometimes it takes that time for you to nurture relationship over time. And so I know over the years, I might have a relationship with a person or a small business entity, and I might never get an opportunity to perform professional services for them. But then out of the blue, 5, 6 years later, you get that call. Hey, Joe, we need to have this done. But it's because over the years, you maintain that relationship. And so when it was time for them to move to the next step, you're the first person that they call. So I think it takes time to build a real relationship that is going to help that individual or that entity to be successful, and for you to be when they want you. But it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. If it happens overnight, it happens, but I doubt that it will ever last for a long time, because I'm in for the long haul. So I want to maintain a relationship, and takes years to nurture that relationship with folks.
Yeah, I always say go for it. Don't go for the one night stand, because most time you don't remember their name. Make sure
You
you go
don't.
for a long-term relationship, because then that is much bigger, much better than anything
Yes.
else. What do you say, Ruth?
Me? Okay. Yeah, I kind of had a thought when Joe was talking, and I have a journalist friend who says who said something to me years ago that really stuck with me, and she said, "There's pride and there's a paycheck." However, I'm big, so we've got to be, focused on our bottom lines for sure. So when I say that I'm generous and that I do a lot of give back to people in my life, I'm really big on this no expectation thing, because givers gain. So I'm going to give a couple examples. And Shondell, actually, you were one of them. Throughout the pandemic, the volume of media requests that I have received has been huge. Media doing stories tied into COVID, needing contacts. I believe Shondell did an interview for me about health in relation to COVID-19. Shondell is not a paying client of mine. He's just a longtime friend, and I'm a big, big fan of Shondell's and his family. Just Friday night, I got a text from a reporter at a TV station asking me, do you know someone in this particular industry? And I fed her someone who interviewed me 2 years ago to do their PR and did not hire me. And the reporter interviewed that person. It was a great story. I didn't ask the person for money. They didn't hire anyone. I don't think they hired anyone. I think they ended up doing PR internally. But doing that kind of thing, to me it makes me happy when I see a news story that I put together, even if I don't make a dime, because eventually it comes back to me. So to everyone's point, I just think we really, really, especially now, just, need to put great energy out there and be as generous as possible with our relationships and our connections, and it's going to come back to us. I actually had a former client last night mentioned that she wanted to rehire me. And I
Right.
think it's because of the positive energy I'm putting out there.
No, and it always comes back full circle, because I'll tell you, Tony Sanchez, I'll never forget this. He called me one time because I was showing pictures of my daughter's wedding, and he was talking about his son and his daughter and his family. And we had a meeting on that. I've known him forever. And we ended up starting to work with NV Energy in 2012. And that relationship continued to grow. When his son was going to the Navy, going to Annapolis, we sat down and talked about what does that feel like? Because I had 2 kids go off into the military, and I served in the military. So the relationship doesn't always start with, hey, I need to hire you. Good point, Ruth.
Right.
And look, this book back there, right here, this is my book. Since Darren brought it up, I wasn't gonna say anything about it. I'm gonna say something about it. So this is what it's all about to me, is the 12 steps of marketing to me is about building a relationship. It's not about everybody knows, okay, I got to put an ad here. I have to do this. I have to do that. Let's do some social media posts. But I know for a fact, the one thing in all the years, I'll be 52 in 2 days. I've learned that the relationships stick longer than any ad, any social media post, anything that you can put on radio. If you build a relationship with people, they will talk about you. They will, when you're not in the room, they will advertise for you. They will be your biggest supporter. So I believe in it. Oh yeah, loyal brand. What you call it?
I read in a book something about loyal brand champions. That was one of the things that was important about building relationships.
Look at this guy.
Some book I read mentioned that as being important.
Yeah. That book? Is that it?
Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's true. I've had instances where I'm out and about and someone will come to me and say, "Hey, Joe, I was in a meeting and your name came up."
Yeah.
And so naturally, I'm like, "Well, why did my name come up?" And they're like, "Well, we're going to be doing this, and your name came up as the person that we should call." And it's relationships like those that really, really are the ones that make you go, as my mom would say, because people are talking about you based on your work and your values.
Yes.
And that's important.
And it's important people know you, right? I'm gonna tell you another one, Ruth. I don't know if Ruth remembers this one, but Ruth called me one day on a Saturday. Said, Shondell, somebody wants to do a story about their pets coming to work. And I happened to be at my office with my dog, with Tiana. Tiana just got groomed. She was at the office with me. Ruth, a reporter, came over, took a picture, and Chris Ferrari, all the way up in Reno, called me up and goes, "Wait a minute, dude, I'm through. Your dog is famous." But that's how much people know. If they know about you, they can do that, right? Ruth, remember that? That was so funny.
Yeah, I do. And, I do have a comment, because to my friend's point about, there's pride and there's a paycheck, something that I do now when I do like non-paid gigs, which I do, frankly, more often than I probably should, but it brings me joy. I'm not shy about asking. I'll say, hey, I'm not going to charge you for this. I do ask that you tag me on LinkedIn. So I am what I call strategically kind. And I think that's important in relationships, is to be a little strategic about it and not to be shy about the ask when you're giving something that is of value, to ask for a social tag or, whatever, but not to be obnoxious about it, but to ask.
I love it. You know what? And I do that. We all are like that. We're such giving people. Everybody on this call is amazing. What I want you to do as we close out, give this group one quick 30-second tip. If you were going to give them a few words, what would it be? What would it be about building relationships?
For me, be intentional.
I love it.
Be intentional and align yourself with your values.
Yes.
And that will help you in determining the next step, the next client, and how purposeful your next professional services delivery will be. That's for me. Be intentional.
Be intentional. I love it. Darren.
I love that as well. But in addition to being intentional, be strategic. And what I mean by being strategic is have a plan in place on building the relationship. You just can't go about it willy-nilly. So have a plan in place, have a strategy that says, okay, and Ruth mentioned this earlier, by joining organizations that are focused on where you want your business to go. So being strategic, and even once you're in that organization, who do I need to meet? How am I going to build that relationship? What are the tools that I'm going to use or bring out to build that relationship? Conversations, inviting to events, whatever those tools and strategies are, have a strategy in place. Because once you have a process, and any professional will tell you, once you have a process in place, you just have to plug it in, and then you can continue to build from there.
I love it. I love it. Ruth?
I'm going to say pause before you say no, choose joy, and be kind.
I love it. Oh, I love that. And mine is, of course, the word that we were talking about is, I tell my staff all the time, create a real relationship of excellence with your clients. We do it with our employees. We do it with our partners, who are people like you guys on the phone, and our community. We believe that if you just give, and you give freely, and you build and you focus on building that relationship, everything else comes to you. So I love this Ducks in a Row series.
I do.
Delisa, I absolutely love this. Ken, I love this. Our fabulous board members, one being Joe, our fabulous members, Darren and Ruth, thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation. I always hate when these come to an end. Delisa, what else do you have? Let me see what's on the screen there. What is our next thing? What do we have going on in the chamber? Thank you, everybody. I see everybody saying thank you, thank you. I'm glad that everybody can enjoy this. Irma, Monica, Kelsey. Let's see who else we have on there who mentioned us.
Tanisha is there. Dr. Ranger is there.
Oh,
Hi, Doc.
Right. Okay, go ahead, Delisa.
I've unmuted myself. So what we do have coming up really soon is our Capital Connections program that is open for all small business owners to attend. It will be virtual this Friday on our Hopin platform. You can visit urbanchamber.org to sign up for that, and you will get to meet with a host of different financial institutions, lenders, equity investors, angel investors. We'll have different panels for you. There will be an expo, an exhibit booth, and networking sessions where you can meet one-on-one with these different resource partners that we have at the Chamber. It's free to attend. Carissa just put the link in our chat box. Please click on that link if you need some access to capital. That is our upcoming event. And thank you all for attending today. We do appreciate you coming out and being a part of our Ducks in a Row series, which is a part of our Capital Connections program, to make sure that all the businesses have the capital, have the connections they need to get the capital that they want. So thank you all for coming out today.
I am so excited. You know what? This has been a blessing to hang with my friend Joe, my friend Darren, and my friend Ruth, who I have real relationships with. And I look forward to the next time that we connect. Capital Connections is a gem. Make sure that you learn how to get access to capital. Thank you, everybody, for spending this hour with us. I know it went quick, but we are so blessed to have all of you with us. Thank you again, Joe, Darren, Ruth,
Thanks.
Lisa. Thank
Thanks
you.
all.
Everybody enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Everybody, we'll give you a minute to copy those links that are in the chat before we close out. Thank you all for coming out.
Thanks. Okay, got it.
Thank you to the Urban Chamber team for putting this on. It was a privilege.
Thanks,
Bye.
Ruth. We appreciate you coming out. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you all. And
Good to
thanks
see
for
you
putting
again,
it together,
Joe.
Delisa, as always. Thank you.
You guys are rock stars.
Bye.
Thanks, Mary. You have a good evening. you, Carissa.